Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the New Jersey UFO. This UFO sighting took place in 2001 just above the New Jersey Turnpike. On July 14th, 2001, just after midnight for around 15 minutes, motorists driving down this highway stopped to stare at the sky to witness what no one could believe. There were strange orange and yellow lights in a V formation just above the Arthur Kill waterway. There were a ton of witnesses who were all extremely confused and shocked as to what they were seeing. Air traffic controllers initially denied that there were any flying objects that could have caused the mysterious lights, but a group that is called the New York Strange Phenomena Investigators claimed that they received radar data that night that would corroborate the story that the witnesses were telling. It may not have been aliens, but it certainly was some sort of unidentified flying object that no one had ever seen before, and there were people from all walks of life witnessing it together.
Coming in at number 9, if I were you, I'd get your camping gear ready. Write down a list of wishes and head out to the wilderness to witness the PERSEID meteor shower set to occur on August 11th and 12th. They usually happen only once a year and is considered the meteor shower of the year. It is known as one of the most plentiful meteor showers, with over 50 to 100 meteor showers raining from the sky. That's potentially 100 wishes to make. PERSEIDs are also known for creating fireballs, larger explosions of light that last longer than the average meteor. It should be viewable in Ontario and northern Quebec. So hopefully that works for you. The best viewing time is right before dawn, so stay up late or wake up early. Grab a cup of joe and a blanket and witness the magic. Coming in at number 8, if you think thunderstorms only happen on Earth, well, you're dead wrong, obviously. Considering the last 2 weeks have been rain city, thunderstorms feel a little too common right now. But this thunderstorm not only occurs on a different planet, there have only been 6 recorded since 1876. The Great White Thunderstorm on Saturn occurs 1 every 29.5 Earth years. They are massive convective storms that appear as giant white blobs on the planet's observable surface. The last recorded storm was in 2010, which means within our lifetime we should see another one around 2040-ish. Just enough time for you to get a big awesome telescope so you can catch the wondrous event in your very backyard. And coming in at number 7, volcanoes, aka the pimples of the Earth's crust, or at least that's how I see them. Volcanoes may look just like your average Himalayan mountains, but are actually slumbering giants of destruction. There are many across the planet that are overdue to pop, some having not been disturbed for thousands of years. However, scientists have a list of volcanoes they are carefully watching that they think might explode in our lifetime. One such volcano is Mount Shasta in California, which last erupted in 1786 and is considered one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the US. Mount Paektu in North Korea last erupted in 1903, and scientists also think it's almost ready, especially considering nuclear explosions nearby may have triggered it. Hopefully we don't experience these in our lifetime, but we better be ready if we do. Coming in at number 6, calling all Mark Twain fans. I know I reported this one on one of my previous videos, and apparently I said the name wrong. Sue me, I'm sorry guys. I mean, I thought it was HALLEY'S or HALLEY'S, I don't know. To be fair, my roommates and I got into a fight about how it's pronounced, and even the internet is indecisive on how it's pronounced, so I'm gonna say it both ways. Anyways, Halley's Comet became famous when Mark Twain tied his life and destiny to it, considering his life both began and ended in both the years it visited our lonely planet Earth. So this news is mostly for anyone born in 1986, as that was the last year Halley's Comet was seen, and it's set to come back in 2061. Hopefully you don't pull a Mark Twain and you live longer than that, but be sure to mark it down anyways. Coming in at number 5, an aquatic rainfall. It's Raining Men by the aptly named Weather Girls is an iconic anthem and has the power to summon even the most deeply rooted wallflowers to the dance floor. Remember dances, guys? Those were fun. Anyways, but perhaps tadpoles or frogs might have been more accurate because though rare, it has been known to happen. Powerful thunderstorms, tornadoes, and waterspouts have powerful updrafts and can be known to sweep aquatic animals along with birds and insects up into the sky. But what goes up must come down, and one day you could be sitting down in a cafe and piles of frogs land on the canopy above you. Nobody knows when this is going to happen, and it doesn't always happen every time there's a thunderstorm. It's rare, which is why it's on this list. But the fact that it could happen anywhere means one day it might just happen to you. I honestly don't know which is more rare, raining frogs or being able to sit in a cafe. Coming in at number 4, this next one is definitely going to happen in our lifetime, as it's happening this very month. On May 26th, a total lunar eclipse is set to occur. A total lunar eclipse is when the closest and biggest full moon of the year will sweep through the Earth's dark umbral shadow. Total lunar eclipses like this one carry with them a wealth of lore and myths from around the world. The Mesopotamians believed that this was an attack on the moon by 7 demons, while today the Batamalima people in Togo and Benin believe that this is a time for people to come together and resolve feuds and their anger. The last time an event like this occurred on a supermoon was 2.5 years ago, so make sure to make it count. Coming in at number 3, we have triple Jovian eclipse. Next up, we have not 1, not 2, but 3 eclipses, except it's not on the moon, it's on Jupiter. The triple Jovian eclipse is really rare and can be identified by 3 black dots lined up on the surface of Jupiter. The black dots are 3 Galilean moons, Io, Callisto, and Ganymede. Jupiter has 16 moons in total, and the 3 mentioned are among the biggest in its orbit. The last time this happened was in 2004. It was spotted by the Hubble Space Telescope, but because it moves so fast over Jupiter's surface, it's been difficult for researchers to capture the entire event. But as the next Jovian eclipse is set to happen in 2032, they hope they'll be able to capture it in more detail. Coming in at number 2, a total solar eclipse. Unfortunately, you can't look at this bad boy straight on, so get ready to get crafty. The next total solar eclipse is set to appear in 2045. They are super rare, and the last one happened in 2017. Imagine where you'll be in 2045 and make sure you've got some proper eyewear with you. A total solar eclipse is when the new moon passes between the sun and the earth and casts the darkest part of the shadow on the earth. It looks like a disc is blocking the sun, but if you look at it straight on, you may go blind, so don't do that. But if you can, find a way. During annular and partial eclipses, the moon is only blocking part of the sun, but during this one, the whole world is cast in darkness, like the shortest night. As for the specific date, we don't know yet, so make sure to set a reminder for your future self to keep an eye out. Or don't. Keep your eyes shut. Don't look at it. And last but not least, number 1. Now this last one is not a natural phenomenon, but one we've started to create, and just how rare it will be in the future all depends on how far we go. When humankind first landed on the moon, it made the stars above us seem that much closer. And they keep getting closer. It takes a lot for humans to go to space, and it feels like we've been waiting a while to go to the moon. Because we have. It has been over 50 years since astronauts last set foot on the moon. But guess what? The next one is sooner than you think. The Artemis program is set to put boots on the moon, hopefully by 2024, though some expect it may even be as early as 2022, next year. Considering the year we've had, it's a wonderful thing to look forward to. It will also be the first time a woman and a person of color has ever set foot on the moon. But this time, they aren't just going to visit, they plan to stay for a while. While Apollo 17 only spent 3 days, Artemis plans to extend the trip to weeks, even maybe months. In February 2020, NASA began rigorous tests on the spacecraft Orion, which is equipped with life support systems and shuttle interfaces. It will dock with the Lunar Gateway, which will serve as the astronauts' base when exploring the moon. If this all goes well, their next plan is to launch a team to Mars.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the JIAN. In 2006, the Australian Coast Watch found a ship floating out at sea that was completely empty with a broken tow rope. Finding a ship floating with no one aboard is always a strange kind of mystery, but things only got more mysterious from there on out. Investigators had absolutely nothing to go off of that could give them any kind of clues. The name of the ship was printed on the side, but that's it. There was nothing else to identify the ship. There were no documents or belongings, no reports of missing boats, no records of distress signals, like literally nothing. They can't even figure out who it belonged to or where it came from. Their best guess is that the ship was possibly used to supply food and fuel to fishing boats, but that does not explain why no one tried to save it or even look for it. Was there someone on it when it got lost? Who knows? In our number 9 spot today, we have blood rain. Between July 25th and September 23rd of 2001, people in southern India were experiencing one of the most strange weather phenomena I've ever heard of. It is said that after a loud boom in the sky, rain started to fall in the region, but this rain was different from your average run-of-the-mill rain. This rain was blood red, with some reports saying that there was also black, green, and even yellow rain. Does this sound like something out of a science fiction movie? Yes. Is it cause for concern? Thankfully, likely not. There have been similar reports of rainfall like this from around the world, which doesn't necessarily make it feel any less unsettling, but scientists do know two reasons for how this happens. The raindrops are getting stained by one of two things, either dust from a nearby desert, or a form of microscopic algae that is suspended in the raindrops, causing the color change. You might be wondering where the whole mystery in this one is. Well, that lies in how we have absolutely no idea how algae is getting into the clouds and thus into our rain. A theory for this is that perhaps the algae is alien or extraterrestrial and has been hitching a ride on meteors entering our atmosphere, but because the DNA of the algae matches that of a type found in waters all over the world, scientists are skeptical of that idea, so it all remains very much an unsolved scientific mystery. In our number 8 spot today we have the Taos hum. In the small city of Taos, New Mexico, for years, residents and visitors alike have been puzzled by a mysterious sound in the air that no one can quite find the source of. It is said that only about 2% of residents reported hearing this low-frequency desert hum, and the theories as to what could be going on here truly are endless. They range from believing it's caused by some sort of unusual acoustics, all the way to mass hysteria and other far more sinister top-secret theories. Things are further confused by the fact that those who hear the sounds actually hear many different sounds, meaning that it might be more of a subjective experience rather than an objective sound. At this point, it is so unclear we may never truly get any kind of answer that we're looking for. In our number 7 spot today we have witchcraft. This story is one that is so strange and mysterious and unsettling that I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since the first time I heard it. On December 22nd, 1967, a cabin cruiser called Witchcraft left from Miami with 2 people on board. The 2 men were taking a trip so that they could enjoy the Christmas lights on a 23-foot luxury yacht, truly living the dream. That all changed very quickly, however, when the men were just 1 mile offshore and the Coast Guard received a call from the captain stating that they had struck something. He said that there was no substantial damage, but still, hitting something is usually not great. The Coast Guard set out immediately to help tow the ship back to shore, and it didn't even take 20 minutes for him to arrive, but when he got to the location, he couldn't spot the Witchcraft anywhere. The area that was indicated as the ship's location was completely deserted, and there was no indication that anyone had been there even recently. What is extra strange about this is that not only was the ship apparently virtually unsinkable, but there were also numerous flotation devices and life rafts, as well as emergency equipment like flares and distress signals. No one ever saw any sign of them being used, and the ship was just gone. Officials searched hundreds of square miles in the next few days, but no one has ever found any sign of the Witchcraft. I just don't know how they could be so close, the timing was so short, and they still just completely vanished. It honestly gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. In our number 6 spot today we have ball lightning. This is a mystery that has been around for long before our lifetime, but it still happens today and we just aren't exactly sure what to make of it or how it occurs. Ball lightning is basically like a glowing orb, a mysterious ball of light that glows and crackles and hovers there, and it usually appears during thunderstorms. These glowing balls have been seen by people in their homes, on airplanes, apparently some people have even seen them passing through windows. Ball lightning is absolutely fascinating, but it has scientists stumped. They're the most mysterious weather phenomena on this planet. Ball lightning usually only appears for a few seconds, but here's the thing. It's impossible to predict when and where it'll show up. You don't choose ball lightning chooses you. It's quite rare, but people and scientists alike have experienced it. It has been attempted to be created in labs, but no one can figure out the exact formula that creates it, so I guess you just have to wait and see if you're one of the lucky ones. In our number 5 spot today we have the Somerton Man. The Somerton Man is an unidentified man who was found perished on the Somerton Park beach in South Australia in 1948. Since then his case, who he is, and what happened to him has been a mystery plaguing authorities and all those who are now invested in the case and its secrets. Public interest in the case arose in part due to how mysterious it was, but also because of the fact that the death occurred in a time of heightened international tension. The mysteries surrounding this one span more than just who this man was, however. Firstly, it is unclear how this man passed away. Was it some sort of undetectable poison? How could no one have any idea despite being able to examine the body? The next mystery is that a secret little note was found in his pocket that was torn from a book. The note in his pocket read "To Mom Should," which means is over or is finished. It's a little ominous, but is the note connected to the case or is it just a weird coincidence? We don't know. Earlier this year, the body of the Somerton man was actually exhumed in order for DNA testing to be done, as we of course have much more technology and DNA databases than we did at the time of his burial. While we haven't had any updates yet, maybe this exhumation means that this one isn't impossible to solve? I guess we'll all just have to wait and see. In our number 4 spot today, we have the CATATUMBO lightning. Okay, so basically the opposite of ball lightning, the elusive glowing orbs, we have this kind of lightning that is around almost too often. Basically, this lightning occurs over the CATATUMBO River, and it's a complete atmospheric phenomenon. This lightning occurs 140 to 160 nights a year, 9 hours per day, and from 16 to 40 times per minute. That is absolutely insane. That is so much lightning. That's almost a lightning strike a second. Another thing that's so fascinating about this lightning is that it is colorful and it doesn't produce any thunder. The lightning does change its frequency up from time to time, and at one point it stopped for a few weeks and people thought that maybe it was going to have been exhausted forever, but that changed when the lightning came back, putting it right back on our list of mysteries that we just can't quite figure out. Many people have studied the lightning, trying to figure out exactly how it has been created and what makes this phenomena what it is, but we aren't just quite sure yet. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Zodiac killer. This one had to make it on this list because although these stories are terrifying and horrible, the story of the uncaught and unidentified serial killer known as the Zodiac truly is one of the most mysterious. The Zodiac killer took the lives of 5 people in the San Francisco Bay Area between December 1968 and October of 1969. He was most known for targeting young couples or a lone male cab driver. Despite 2 people luckily and thankfully escaping his attempted evil doings, he has still never been caught. He was one of those weird ones who left notes and stuff for the police to find, and there are of course many people who think that the Zodiac has been identified. I'm sure we'll see some of them in the comments, hi. But while no one has heard from the Zodiac since 1974, the case remains active in many different counties, and it is yet to be officially solved. In our number 2 spot today, we have D.B. Cooper. This is a case I have mentioned here before on this channel. In fact, I talked about this guy in my very first video I ever did here, but we had to bring it back because it truly is one of the most baffling mysteries of our lifetime. On November 24th, 1971, a man who said his name was Dan Cooper boarded a flight from Portland to Seattle. Once the plane was in the air, Cooper handed a note to the flight attendant who dropped it into her purse without even opening it. Cooper leaned over and whispered, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb," which is probably number 1 on the list of the top 10 things no flight attendant ever wants to hear. After showing her the bomb, he began to list his demands, which were $200,000, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle to refuel the plane for when they arrived. At 5:39 p.m., the aircraft landed at Seattle-Tacoma Airport. After receiving the items he had requested, Cooper ordered all the passengers and some of the flight attendants to leave the plane. The plane then took off again, and when it landed in Reno, Nevada, Cooper wasn't on it. The search for Cooper was one of the most extensive in US history, but he has never been located, and no one knows who he really was or what happened to him after this whole ordeal. Maybe DB knew something we all don't and he vanished into another universe? If so, why did he have to hijack a plane to do so? It truly is one of our biggest mysteries that may never get solved. In our number 1 spot today, we have the USS Princeton UFO. This is a UFO sighting that comes from 2004. On November 14th of that year, the USS Princeton noticed an unknown aircraft of some sort that was about 100 miles off of the coast of San Diego. For 2 weeks prior to this, the crew had been tracking a strange flying object that would start out at around 80,000 feet before extremely quickly dropping to hover right above the Pacific Ocean. Black Aces Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Jim Slate of Strike Fighter Squadron 41 went over in 2 fighter jets in order to kind of scope out the situation, and when they arrived, they saw what at first appeared to be churning water while there was an oval shape just below the surface. After this, a white oval-shaped object appeared above the water, but it had no markings on it. Like, no windows, nothing though to indicate an engine, no wings, and the infrared monitors on the jets didn't pick up any sort of exhaust. The commander and lieutenant commander tried to intercept this strange aircraft, but it very quickly flew away and it reappeared on the monitor 60 miles away. Like, when I say quickly, I mean it was moving at 3 times the speed of sound and over twice the speed of fighter jets. So, faster than any kind of technology we currently have. We still don't know exactly what this is, but I'm sure a lot of us are thinking the same thing.
Starting with number 10, ever heard of the phrase once in a blue moon? Well, there's a reason for that. Blue moons are actually fairly common and usually occur every 2 years. Full moons follow a 12-month cycle, though it takes around 29.5 for the cycle to complete, meaning the 12 full cycles occur every 354 days, 11 days short of a full year. So eventually an extra 13th moon occurs, known as the blue moon. But what's actually even more rare are 2 blue moons in 1 year. The last time this occurred was in 2018, and scientists anticipate that this will happen again in 2037. So keep a tally and make sure to catch all 14 that year.
In our number 9 spot today, we have Harold Holt. Harold was the 17th Prime Minister of Australia until his presumed death in 1967. In December of that year, Harold was with 4 other people when he convinced everyone to stop at Cheviot Beach for a swim. The weather conditions were pretty rough, so only one other person actually went into the water with him. Holt said he knew the beach like the back of his hand, but sadly he was taken by the sea when going for a swim. Despite the subsequent investigation that ensued, which involved the biggest search operation in Australian history, no body has ever been found. The disappearance has been the source of mystery since the day it happened, with many conspiracy theories being created around it. Some believed he faked his own death, while others believe he was killed by the CIA, and of course there are people who believe that it was simply just a case of getting caught in a riptide. Whatever truly happened here may be a mystery, but it is also an extreme tragedy. In our number 8 spot today, we have Jelly Rain. Back in 1994, residents of Oakville, which is a small city in Washington, reported a series of mysterious translucent gelatinous blobs covering the ground. From the first report, over the next 3 weeks, more discoveries of this strange substance began to roll in, with many people claiming that they had fallen ill as a result of coming into contact with it. Many people believed that this substance had actually come down from the skies like rain, as each of the blobs was about the size of a grain of rice, and they were strewn about the ground just as rain would be. There are of course tons of theories as to what this substance could be, and that includes the fallout from some sort of military weapons test, but to this day nothing has ever been confirmed, and it remains just as much of a mystery as it was 27 years ago. In our number 7 spot today, we have Derek Amato. One day in 2006, Derek Amato was having a fun day at the pool with friends before a life-changing moment occurred. Derek yelled for his buddy to pass him the football as he dove into the pool, but just one moment later, Derek had found his head hitting the concrete floor of the pool so hard that he gave himself an extremely severe concussion. The injury caused him to lose 35% of his hearing in one ear and left him with headaches and memory loss, but also a newfound ability. Just 4 days after the accident, Derek found himself somewhere he had never seen himself, in front of a piano. Despite never having played before, Derek found his hands gliding across the keyboard like he was a seasoned professional. He said, quote, "As I shut my eyes, I found these black and white structures moving from left to right, which in fact would represent in my mind a fluid and continuous stream of musical notation." While Derek has had to suffer through a multitude of side effects from his injury, he continues to say that he believes he was given a gift. This is truly an interesting story, but no one can quite figure out exactly how this happened. Derek isn't the only person with a story like this, and all are as equally amazing as they are perplexing. In our number 6 spot today, we have the WOW signal. In August of 1977, there was a radio telescope at Ohio State University that detected a strange signal. The radio picked up a pulse of radiation that was super unusual and that was coming from somewhere by the constellation of Sagittarius. The signal lasted for 37 seconds, and it has been commonly referred to as the WOW signal because of the fact that the astronomers observing it were so shocked at the time that they wrote "wow" on the printout from the telescope. This signal was so shocking because it was in a band of radio frequencies that are internationally banned on Earth. There are a multitude of natural sources for radiation in space that would cover a multitude of frequencies, so there are scientists who are skeptical that this could be proof of alien life, but skepticism doesn't mean it should be ruled out. Maybe this signal came from a huge astronomical event, or perhaps intelligent alien life with a very powerful transmitter who are trying to contact us. At the end of the day, this signal was detected in 1977, and we still don't know exactly where it's coming from or why it exists, so who's to say for sure? In our number 5 spot today we have the Mothman. Back on a dark November night in 1966, 4 young people, 2 couples, claimed that they saw a tall bird-like monster that had glowing red eyes. They claimed they saw it while they were cruising down a back road near Point Pleasant, which sits in rural West Virginia. They explained that whatever this creature was, it rose into the air, unfolded these huge bat-like wings, and chased them as they sped away as fast as they could, totally frightened by what they had just seen. From here, stories of the Mothman continued to spread, with more sightings coming in the following weeks. This story, of course, is what inspired the 2002 movie The Mothman Prophecies, which was based off of John Keel's book that told the stories of these uncanny sightings and experiences in relation to this mysterious creature or being. This is because he believes that this creature was somehow mysteriously linked to the collapse of the Silver Bridge in Point Pleasant in December of 1967. This bridge collapse took the lives of 46 people, and that included some of those who had said that they had an experience with the Mothman. Some people believe the story, others think it's just folklore and gullible people, so here I am asking, what do you think? In our number 4 spot today we have the Mary Celeste. Okay, I'll admit, this one's out of our lifetime, but I mean, the Mary Celeste, it's a classic mystery. The Mary Celeste first set sail on November 7th, 1872 with a cargo full of alcohol. What happened over the next month isn't quite clear, but what we do know is that on the afternoon of December 5th of the same year, another ship on the Atlantic crossing found her drifting somewhere between Azores and Portugal. The captain of this ship knew the captain of the Mary Celeste and knew that he was a skilled and capable sailor, so he was extremely suspicious. He ordered a crew to board the Mary Celeste, and when they did, they found that the ship had been deserted, but it was in full seaworthy condition, so why had they abandoned it? Especially the captain. The captain of the ship that found this derelict split his crew and sailed the Mary Celeste to Gibraltar for more investigations, but despite this, the captain, his family, and the crew of 7 that were on board the Mary Celeste simply just disappeared, and no one knows what happened or where they could have gone. I think this one is so famous because it has no answers tied to it at all. Like, it really is just one of those mysteries with next to nothing to go off of in terms of clues. In our number 3 spot today we have alien visitation. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker are 2 men who are from Mississippi, and back in 1973 while fishing, the pair swear that they were abducted by aliens. They say that they heard strange sounds and saw weird lights above their heads. When they looked up, they saw an oval-shaped object that they say was about 40 feet across and 10 feet high. The pair explained that during this abduction they were fully conscious, but they were unable to move. It isn't exactly clear what they entailed, but the men say that the extraterrestrials conducted experiments on them before releasing them. Of course, many people said that the men were lying, but both of them passed a polygraph test. Polygraphs aren't the most accurate tool in the world, but the chance of both of them passing is a lot slimmer than if it was just one person. This has led some people to suggest that perhaps they experienced some sort of combined dream, but even if that is the case, how that could have happened is still very much a mystery. Who knows if they actually experienced something or not, and if they did, what exactly it was. In our number 2 spot today we have Oumuamua. So a few years ago, scientists all agreed that we had found an object that was flying through our solar system, and it was widely agreed that it was an interstellar comet that had swung out from around another star. But upon closer examination, they realized that something was propelling it and causing it to accelerate, and this is when the debate really started, because they just don't know why. A.V. Loeb, who's a Harvard University astrophysicist, proposed the idea that rather than a comet, this could be an alien probe that was being pushed by a light sail, which is a very wide but extremely thin piece of material that accelerates by being pushed by solar radiation. Other scientists didn't agree with this and instead said that it's possible that hydrogen ice could have melted off of the object in a way that would mimic a rocket engine or something of that nature, but in August of last year, Avi wrote in a study that hydrogen ice is too easily heated and it would have melted off long before it reached our solar system. I guess we just have to wait it out while the scientists debate and gather more evidence to really know what's going on with this one. In our number 1 spot today we have the MV Joyita. Around 5 a.m. on October 3rd, 1955, the MV Joyita set sail in the South Pacific. The voyage was meant to take between 41 to 48 hours, but by October 6th, the ship hadn't turned up at its destination. No ship or land-based operator reported receiving any kind of distress call from the crew, so a search and rescue mission was immediately launched. From October 6th to October 12th, the search covered roughly 100,000 square miles, but alas, no one nor the ship were found. 5 weeks later, on November 10th, a captain of another ship spotted the Joyita more than 600 miles from her scheduled route. The ship was capsizing and listing heavily, but it was extremely buoyant and would not sink. Despite this, however, the crew of 25 members were completely missing, and they have never been seen again. 4 tons of cargo were missing from the ship, and the ship itself was in quite poor condition. The pipes were corroded, and while the radio worked, the wiring was faulty, so there was only a range of about 3.2 kilometers. Because of how the ship was built, investigators are puzzled as to why the crew didn't remain on the ship, as it wouldn't have sunk, but this has led them to believe that perhaps something happened to the captain, where he was killed or incapacitated, which would have left someone less experienced in charge. To this day, no one is quite sure what happened to those aboard the ship, how it capsized, or where they ended up. It is all very much a mystery. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thank you so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!